Hello and welcome to my very first YouTube video. Today we're going to be talking about millipedes, which is a topic that's really exciting to me and something that I love very, very much. I only have one species of millipede so far, so that's what we're going to be talking about today. This is Narceus Americanus, otherwise known as the giant American millipede. Care for millipedes is exceptionally simple, and all you really need is a container like this. This is a critter keeper that you would usually use for crickets. They're pretty cheap, but you can also use a Tupperware container or pretty much anything that just has holes so that it can have oxygen and deep enough that you can have a good layer of soil. My millipede is about 6 centimeters long, so I will need about 6 centimeters of soil. So I've opened it up and you can see that I'm kind of trying to replicate what would be the North American forest floor. I have some oak twigs, I've got lots of little leaves and sticks, and it's kind of hard to get down to the dirt itself, which is good. You want lots of layers so that your millipede feels nice and cozy. Your millipede will also need lots of hiding spots. I like having the twigs in here so it has the option to climb. I'll pull them out for now just so we can get a closer look. Obviously also, this isn't a native plant, but they are helpful as they remove nitrates from the soil. And it just kind of completes that bioactive cycle. So let me get down to the dirt here. I have this little seed pod that he likes to hide under, but he's not down there right now. The most important thing to focus on, if nothing else, is your soil. There's a little springtail there. We'll talk about them in a second. So I have lots of little sphagnum moss and things in here. The sphagnum moss is really helpful for keeping the humidity up. You want your soil to be able to hold moisture. This is because in order to breathe, millipedes need to be moist. Otherwise, they can suffer what's called desiccation, or drying out. So let's talk about soil. What kind of soil do they like? What I've got here is a repta soil that I've mixed with some sphagnum moss, and I have some, I think it's cinnamon bark that I've put in here, just to give it a little bit of chunk, and something for the millipede to munch on. I also have these little white flecks, which you might think are perlite, but they are actually crushed eggshell, which is great calcium for your millipede. I also, from my local reptile store, found some springtails. You can usually find these with the isopods, and I do keep them with my isopods as well. They are just another extra cleanup crew for your millipede enclosure or your isopod enclosure, or even bioactive reptile setups that will clean up things like mold, like you can see in here. This used to be really nasty, but they've cleaned it right up. Usually when I lift this up, Hot Dog, who's my millipede, is down there, as well as a multitude of these springtails. But I've been mucking about with it today, so they're all hiding. Anyhow, we will talk about what the basic care looks like for a millipede. They are quite easy to take care of. Here's Hot Dog. I just put him back, and I've been bugging him all day for these videos, but this is what I like about Narceus Americanus. They're very active as a species, and they spend a lot of time out and about during the day. They're very handleable, and they're, obviously they get to a nice size that's good for even kids to hold, whereas I wouldn't trust a smaller species with children, just because they can get lost, or they can get stepped on, just the normal things that you'd worry about with a pet this size. Now, to take care of them, they're probably about the easiest pets that you can have. So you don't actually really need to feed them. They will mostly eat the substrate and the things around them. He'll chew on the sphagnum moss a bit. Obviously, this is why I put the crushed eggshells in the soil itself. He'll also eat the bits of bark and things in here. So that should be able to sustain them for a long time. But you can also, if you want them to come out a bit more, you can feed them things like sliced zucchini, cucumbers, banana, apples. You don't want to give them too much sugary stuff, but they will appreciate a little snack every once in a while. They also really love to eat mushrooms and just anything that you're intending to throw out into your compost, they'll eat. The only real thing you need to do for your millipedes is to spray down their enclosure once every day or once every other day-ish. You want it to keep a good texture where it sticks to itself, but it doesn't get Like, it won't form a super tight ball or anything. It won't get muddy. You don't want your millipede to drown in there. You want your millipede to be able to escape some moisture if they need to. My enclosure isn't quite big enough, but for a bigger enclosure, you might consider putting in a little water dish for them and overfill it so that there's a really nice moist spot for them available at all times to seek out. But my enclosure is just not quite big enough for it. This species doesn't need it as much as some of the bigger ones as well. Some of the questions that I get about millipedes are, 1, do they bite, or are they poisonous or venomous? And the answer is no. I don't even think that they're capable of biting you, and they're not venomous, but some species are poisonous, and they may leave like a residue that discolors your skin on your hands, or it'll be really foul tasting if you get it in your mouth. But this should only happen if you're mishandling your millipedes and they get very upset. Usually they'll just tuck their little head down or roll up in a ball. But if you're really messing with them is when they'll excrete that substance. Another common question, and one that I had myself before I started keeping millipedes, is, can I house them with my isopods? The answer is yes, but you really shouldn't. Now, they eat the same things and they live in the same areas and they have pretty much the exact same care requirements, but the problem is isopods, when they molt one half and the other. So they're always safe in one aspect. Oh, he's having a poop. It's another interesting thing is they have a little like trap door at the back. Anyways, millipedes molt all at once, which means that they're very vulnerable for a few weeks or a few days every time they molt. And isopods are very opportunistic feeders and will eat your millipede if they get the opportunity. They'll eat it alive, which is horrible to think about. So as far as other animals or species that can live with your millipede, isopods are off the table. You can keep them with similarly sized millipedes, or things like small snails, springtails, and things that are just not going to touch them, because they're very slow moving and they don't have a lot of defenses, and you would hate to have something bad happen to your millipede. Anyways, as far as that goes, Hot Dog and I wanted to thank you for watching. We hope you have a great day, and we hope that we changed your mind a little bit about millipedes. They are very special creatures with lots of personality, and they're very handleable and fun to take care of. If you have any other questions, feel free to comment, and I will answer them as I get to them. Say bye!